She spoke 9 languages, commanded armies, and when she finally died, an empire that had endured for 3,000 years died with her. History remembers Cleopatra as a seductress and a distraction, but that version of her story is incomplete, misleading, and deeply unfair. The year is 69 BC, and Alexandria stands as the glittering jewel of the Mediterranean world, unmatched in wealth and ambition. It is a kingdom overflowing with knowledge, beauty, and power, yet beneath the marble and gold, it is slowly collapsing. Into this world of fading glory, political decay, and dangerous ambition, Cleopatra is born. She enters a royal dynasty that has already begun to rot from corruption, excess, and generations of betrayal. The Ptolemies rule Egypt, but they are foreigners in spirit, Greek kings wearing Egyptian crowns. Her father, Ptolemy XII, is weak and incompetent, a ruler mocked by his own people and feared by no one. While the kingdom crumbles under misrule and debt, Cleopatra watches quietly, absorbing every lesson. Unlike her siblings who indulge in luxury, Cleopatra turns to learning, discipline, and intellectual power. When Cleopatra is just 12 years old, her father is overthrown by a population pushed beyond endurance. Ptolemy XII flees across the Mediterranean to Rome, begging senators to restore the throne he squandered. Rome agrees to help him, but the price is enormous, draining Egypt's wealth and independence. Cleopatra learns a brutal truth early in life. Rome now decides who rules the world. Egypt no longer survives by strength, but by Rome's permission and calculated tolerance. In 51 BC, Ptolemy XII dies, and Cleopatra ascends the throne at just 18 years old. Tradition forces her to rule alongside her younger brother and marry him to preserve the bloodline. Cleopatra immediately makes it clear that she has no intention of sharing real power with a child. Her brother's advisors, threatened by her authority and intelligence, begin plotting behind palace walls. Before long, Cleopatra is betrayed, overpowered politically, and driven into exile from her own kingdom. Alone and stripped of her crown, Cleopatra refuses to accept defeat or disappear quietly. With no allies and no army, she begins building one from mercenaries, exiles, and loyal followers. By 48 BC, Cleopatra is marching back toward Egypt, prepared to reclaim her throne by force. But events beyond her control move faster than her army ever could. Rome itself arrives in Egypt, carrying with it the weight of civil war.
Julius Caesar, the most powerful man alive, steps onto Egyptian soil at the edge of history. Pompey the Great, Caesar's former ally, flees to Egypt believing old debts will save him. Instead of sanctuary, Pompey is betrayed, murdered, and sacrificed for political favor. His severed head is preserved and prepared as a grotesque offering for Caesar. When Caesar receives it, he weeps for a fallen Roman and burns with quiet, dangerous rage. Cleopatra recognizes this moment as her one chance to change her fate. The palace is sealed and guarded, making any direct approach a certain death. So Cleopatra chooses audacity over caution and deception over force. Smuggled inside under cover of night, she is carried into the palace, hidden from sight. Before Caesar himself, the carpet is unrolled, revealing a queen who refuses to kneel. Caesar is not confronted by beauty alone, but by intelligence, confidence, and political mastery. In that private chamber, Cleopatra offers not submission, but alliance and shared ambition. Her brother's advisors realize too late that power has slipped beyond their control.
Alexandria erupts into chaos as riots, violence, and rebellion consume the city. Caesar finds himself besieged within the palace, surrounded and outnumbered.
Fire spreads through the harbor, ships burn, and the city descends into warfare. Amid smoke and bloodshed, Cleopatra refuses to retreat or hide. Roman reinforcements finally arrive, shifting the balance of the conflict. The battle turns decisively, and resistance collapses under disciplined force. Ptolemy XIII attempts to flee across the Nile, but drowns beneath his own armor. Cleopatra is restored to the throne, victorious but permanently changed. Rome still stands behind her, its shadow impossible to escape. Caesar remains in Egypt far longer than expected, ruling beside Cleopatra. For a brief moment, Egypt stabilizes and breathes again under her command. During this time, Cleopatra becomes pregnant with Caesar's child. She gives birth to a son, Caesarion, the living symbol of two worlds colliding. Cleopatra follows Caesar to Rome, stepping into the heart of Roman power. Rome is unsettled by her presence, her influence, and what she represents. Caesar is declared dictator for life, placing himself above the Republic. On the Ides of March, the Senate gathers, and history holds its breath. Julius Caesar is assassinated, stabbed by the men who feared his power. Cleopatra flees Rome immediately, carrying her son away from mortal danger. Back in Egypt, Cleopatra acts with speed and ruthlessness to secure power. Her brother-husband dies soon after, clearing the final obstacle to sole rule. Caesarion is named co-ruler, making Cleopatra the undisputed authority in Egypt. Rome fractures into chaos as civil war erupts across the Republic.
Three men divide the Roman world, each hungry for dominance. Marc Antony emerges as master of the East, inheriting Egypt's fate. Antony summons Cleopatra, expecting submission and tribute. Instead, Cleopatra arrives in a display of calculated spectacle and power. Antony is overwhelmed, captivated by her presence and strategy. Their alliance forms immediately, blending desire with political necessity. Antony stays in Alexandria, and Rome begins to whisper of betrayal. Pleasure and strategy intertwine as they bind themselves together. In Rome, Octavian begins shaping a narrative designed to destroy them. The Senate is told Antony has abandoned Rome for an Eastern queen. War becomes inevitable as propaganda replaces diplomacy. The Battle of Actium decides the fate of the Mediterranean world. Cleopatra and Antony retreat, losing Rome and their final advantage. Defeat follows them back to Egypt as Octavian closes in. Facing capture and humiliation, Cleopatra chooses her own ending. With her death, an age ends, and the last pharaoh passes into legend.